Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. And what is this video about? Well, I'm going to talk about the beats warping algorithm in Ableton. This algorithm has been around since God knows when. I think forever. I'm not entirely sure. I often used to look down the nose at it, preferring instead to go with repitch, or sometimes just slicing beats up myself and then quantizing them, getting the timbre of each slice to my taste and resampling them. But I decided that the only real reason why I wasn't giving beats a chance was because I'd never really sat down to sort of truly understand it. So I have, and I've actually come to the conclusion that it's incredibly useful in certain situations. So I'm going to explain a little bit about how it works and also what you can do with it, because you can do some really, really cool stuff with it that you can only do with the beats warping, which is great for maximizing the flexibility of single clips. So I shall start by going to this little visual diagram which I prepared earlier. So when you're in beats mode, I'm going to use this blue clip down here as part of my visual cue. When you're in beats mode, what happens is that the clip is warped to the length and tempo. So if the beat is 1 bar long at 120 BPM, it'll warp it. And what that means is that it'll kind of stretch the audio in certain ways to give you some flexibility in terms of tempo and pitch. But it does it in a certain way. So I hammered together this sort of, I'll just turn it down a little bit so it doesn't blow our head off. I sort of hammered together this very simple synthwave 707 thing. Okay. So immediately what it's done is that it's tried to see some transients. Now I deliberately programmed this beat so that the transients were, just in eighths. There's no sort of funky 16ths in there or anything. And what happens is that when it finds these transients, it then makes some decisions over what's going to happen between each transient according to some settings that you make down here. So we've got these options here. So I'm going to explain them. The preserve is the way in which it will interpolate or smooth the gaps between each transient or each measure. And I've explained this here in this diagram. So when you have it set to, in this case, I've actually picked quite a bad example, but let's go with transients. When you have it set to transients and you've got these options here, these are the options that predetermine how it interpolates between each transient. So if we were to have this one, which is just forward only, and it leaves a gap, effectively what you could imagine is this happens. If you look at this top one here, which I've sliced the same way, just manually. When we change the tempo, we get these gaps. See, this one down beneath, I've done the same way, but I've done it in 16th. We get these gaps. So that means that when you play back a clip with the forward only setting, you get these gaps. And sometimes you might want that, sometimes you don't. We can actually listen to that, and let's listen to it. What I might do is I'll just turn these off. Oh, but then we can't see them. That's irritating. Okay, anyway. So let's actually listen to that doing that. There you are. We can hear it already. It's created these gaps. And what it's doing effectively is that it's just playing the transient, the audio between each transient at its original speed without doing any kind of warping. This can come in quite useful sometimes, particularly with when we want to transpose stuff. we also get this transient shaper down here, this little number box. And what that's kind of doing is, effectively, it's kind of putting a crossfade in like that between each transient. And that's kind of useful too. Gives us a bit of control over the shape. Actually, I could just mute these tracks, couldn't I? And we can still see them. Okay, so let's move on to the other ones. So this one is forward looping. And what that does is that when it gets to the end of a transient, to fill the gaps, it will start looping the end of the transient. So, you know, we could kind of imagine that what it's doing is that when it gets to the end like this, it's kind of going like that to fill the gaps. And we can listen to that. We can listen to it do it. You get that grainy artifact. If I go down really slow, so that's how it's filling the gaps in between so that, you know, you don't get this. The third one is the same, only it ping-pongs the looping. When it gets to the end of the transient, it'll play it forwards and then backwards a little bit at the end, which again, you could kind of, well, to visually illustrate that would be a bit of a hassle. I'll try it anyway. So if we like go here and I'll just delete all this junk. So let's say that it was taking this bit. It would start forward looping, then it would do another one, but this one would be backwards. And then it would keep doing that to fill the gap. And we can hear that in action. It'll kind of ping pong, forward, backwards looping. I'll go really slow so we can hear it. Okay, so sometimes that is not a desirable effect, but also it is quite a cool effect as well, and you can use that creatively. We'll get to that later. So I'm going to go back to the forward only looping. We just get gaps like that. So if I was maybe working, if I go back to the original tempo. Now, if I wanted to maybe slow that down to say 100 or 90 BPM, I'll get gaps. So I could fill those gaps by transposing it. But that's not really any different from just using repitch, right? Which is generally what I've always gone for, because I was always confused that maybe I was going to get these artifacts when I didn't want them in a nice clean drum loop. But effectively, like visually again, if I demonstrate this here like this, we've got these gaps here. If I was to, these are just, there's no warping on these ones, but if I was to transpose them all down, you see that the gaps fill up because, you know, I'm filling the gap. I'm filling the gaps in between because each transient is longer because it's been transposed down. So if I pitch that up, we'll get like nothing. See, gaps just get bigger and bigger. But in some cases, you might not want to do that. You might want to change the tempo, but you want to keep the pitch of the original loop. And that's when you might want to consider using some of these other options, preserve options. So let's have a listen, see what they're like. Let's go for forward, backwards looping. So you can hear the looping there, but when that's buried in a mix, you won't at all. Let's try the forward only looping. Yeah, again, I'm not really certain about it. In some cases, I probably would have to make a decision over whether the loop that I wanted to use was really right for the tempo, if I wanted to preserve the timbre and the pitch of the loop. These are decisions you're going to have to make. Or what I could do is use the forward and then just back off. Still some gaps there, but they're less abrasive. I'm giving them a little bit of a fade out. So the preserve works in transients, but also in values as well. And that's what I've demonstrated here with this one. So if I was to do this loop at 16th notes, everything that I've just talked about would happen like this. It chops it into equal parts 16 times across one beat, or one bar, I should say. And some cases that's fine if you've got like a 16th note feeling kind of loop. This one is just 8th notes, it's just a straight fourth from the floor. So, okay, right, I'm just going to pause and think about what I'm going to do next. Okay, why don't we like warp these? In fact, what I could do is I could click inside the clip. I can go Control A or Command A on Mac, and then Command U. Now they're all quantized. That's nice. So hear what's happening there? Now I've got the preserve on 16th notes. So it's ignoring all of these transients and these warp markers and just slicing it into equal chunks. So if I went to 1/4, so we can hear that that sounds a bit shuffly because it's chopping it here and then here and then here. So everything that comes after this transient gets affected by this. So let's try forwards, backwards. Now you can get some interesting, swings out of that, I suppose. But in this case, where I've set these warp markers, I want to use transients. I will pretty much always use transients because I want to maintain the integrity of the loop. This loop doesn't have that much integrity, but it has urgency. So obviously, now that these are all locked, we can try and warp these around like this. So we can get creative with almost reprogramming this loop. And because we're using the forward only preserve, it doesn't glitch it up too much. Still sounds quite clean, in my opinion. If you disagree, leave a message in the comments. Now, if we went to a faster tempo, let's open up that. Because we've sped it up, we don't have to worry about the gaps being filled, really, because it'll automatically fill the gaps because we're not transposing it. Apart from there, you see, but that's because we warped that one to here. So I might want to do the forward backwards preserve so that when this one gets to the end, it will start playing backwards to fill this gap. You see? It's deep stuff, isn't it? Let's put this back. Okay, I'm going to go back to 120. So that's basically how that works. Okay, like if I do the transposition up here, we'll hear that there's loads of gaps because as we're transposing, we're decreasing the length of each of these transients, but they're staying locked to where they are on the grid because they're warped. They don't need to be warped because they've got transients. But if we delete a transient, so we get things like that. So it'll just put that back in. So we can click here and I think we can do insert transients. There we go. But I'm going to have them all warped anyway. Whoops, wrong. Oh, what? There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to take that clip into the session view and we're going to have a nice time screwing around with it. Right. I'll just move that over there. So one of the interesting things about the Beats algorithm is that you can automate the sample offset. You can only do this in the, I think you can only do it in the beats app. Yeah, I don't think any of the others allow it. Certainly not repitch. No, it's just beats. We can use clip envelopes to automate or modulate the sample offset of the loop, which means that with a single loop, this is 1 bar. You can do it with anything. I'm just picking 1 bar. We can turn this single clip into all kinds of stuff, like rhythmically, by modulating or automating the sample offset. So I'll kind of demonstrate that now. Get the pen out. Get a grid size that I want. So as I click here, you can see that it's saying plus 3, 4 in 16ths. So what we have is we have 16 places that we can offset the current transient, which is, well, it's a bar. It's effectively a bar that we can move this across the grid, across the loop. I think it's best that I just do it. So why don't I offset this one back by, what am I working in here? Eighths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'll move it back 4 16th notes, meaning that when the clip gets to here, we'll actually hear this part of the clip again, because I've offset that part to play minus 4 16ths, which is here. Let's listen. Oh, hang on. Let's put the transposition back down. Okay, let's listen now. There we go. Sorry, I've had the metronome on the whole time. It's terrible. There we go. See? What about if I go back minus 8 16ths? So that's effectively playing the kick drum again. Let's listen. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, I think I'm just getting my maths wrong. That's what it is. So 4 16ths. Pardon the sibilance of 4 16ths. Is actually there then, I guess. So 2 16ths would be, yeah, because we're working in eighth notes. That's it. So if I offset this minus 2 16th notes, we'll hear this transient again, this warp marker here. Okay. So if we do 4, we'll hear the start of the bar again. So we could do it here as well. Okay, or we can go forward. Okay, so this is not the most exciting thing to demonstrate this with, because it's quite straight. I personally, I've been exploring this a lot more using funky breakbeats and stuff, but I thought in order to clearly demonstrate it visually and sonically, it would be better to pick something quite simple. So it can get really interesting when we unlink this. Unlink your automation. Now we have independent control over the length of this automation lane without affecting what's going on in the original clip. So the original clip is 1 bar long, 2, 3, 4. Okay. But if we unlink this automation, we can have complete independent length. So we can take a simple 1 bar loop and turn it into an infinite number of loops with all kinds of crazy syncopations and little edits, little jump arounds or something. This is quite a fiddly, convoluted process, but it's quite rewarding and encourages you to limit your window. It's very easy to sort of just think of having Ableton. I can have a million gazillion scenes of hundreds of thousands of millions of clips. Yeah, but sometimes you might just want to maybe think, okay, I'm only going to use 8 clips for this entire thing, but I want to maximize what I can do with each one. Oh, and also it's a good idea to load it into RAM, because we're going to be doing some stuff later, which means that loading it into RAM will give us better performance. So I'll just start getting creative with this. I say creative, just more random. So I'll start just by going like this, and we can just listen to what it's doing. Okay. That was, I mean, you get the idea, but it wasn't that exciting. So I'll just draw. Oh, why am I doing it like that? I'll just do that. Okay, right. So let's see what we can do. Okay, maybe I would like to try and do like a 16th note fill on the snare. Maybe this might work. Okay, no, it didn't. Let's go in. Let's zoom in a little bit more, and let's try something like this. So we're just basically telling it to keep jumping back a 16th note each time. No. I sometimes wonder if this thing was developed in Live 2 and then no one ever used it, and so they never ever developed it any further, which is why sometimes it doesn't do what I would expect. I'm going to persevere though. I would think that I could just jump back 16th notes, so it's kind of repeating. No, why not? Let's try this. Okay, now let's do that. Now go back further. Okay, that was a terrible demonstration of something I thought would work, but did not. But anyway, what I really want to talk about is when we use unlinked automation, but it's at a different meter to the original loop. This original loop is at 1 bar, but I'm going to do some sample offset automation unlinked to 3/4 of that 1 bar. So I'm doing it in 3/4, I suppose. And what we'll get is we'll get this polymetric automation overlapping. I think. There we go. So we can hear that it's repeating on one pass it's repeating the kick, and then on the second pass it's repeating a snare because it's overlapped. So we'll just get experimental. Just draw some stuff, see what happens. Okay, I want to do like a sort of 16th, sort of 3/16 kind of syncopated thing. How would I do that? This is harder than I remembered. I got this sounding really good in rehearsal. I should have just used breaks instead of just trying to be cool and use some drum machine thing, you know. Where is that mysterious snare? Okay, it's there. So if I want to repeat this bit, then I should offset this here, -3. I wonder if it's because I'm using the wrong preserve. Let's look at the clip again. Effectively, what we'll want to do is use the sample offset modulation to play this transient again, but here, or here, or here. Okay, right. So maybe it was a better idea to use 16th note preserves if I want to do sample offset modulation in 16th notes. God, this is a mouthful. I'm going to drink. Okay, this is a little bit more like what I was expecting. Oh, here we go. Come on, where's that snare? Come on. Come on, mysterious ghost snare, reveal yourself. Maybe I'm doing it in the wrong place. Let's try here. Oh, this is a mysterious, enigmatic process, Ableton. You are cruel sometimes. Oh, bollocks. Come on. We're in 16ths. This can't possibly have anything to do with it. What's that thing doing there? Okay. Let's just go back to doing this and... Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Ah. Ah, there we go. Okay, that took an incredibly long time. And if you're sitting there thinking, why on earth would I want to do this? I could just program it. I empathize. I empathize. But the thing is, it gets interesting when you unlink the automation and go at a different meter to the clip. You get these overlaps. Okay, so we could actually take that little chunk. Come on, give me the thing. I don't want the pen. We can take that little chunk of automation there. We could duplicate that. But we could like move it. Maybe, I'm pretty sure we can move this. Can we move it? Yeah, we can move that to there. Oh, we don't want that though. Okay, let's put that there like that. All right, okay. Then we can maybe try that. So what's that? That's 6. Let's go for half of that. Let's go. Interesting, eh? And if it's not quite doing it for you, then change it a little bit. Just try something else. Isn't that interesting? I personally think that's really interesting. That's all I've been doing. I've just been pulling in one clip and just really trying to explore this and thinking, how much variation can I actually get out of a single clip? When you start using longer clips, like 4 bars, it really opens up a whole load of stuff. You can do all kinds of like little glitchy, beat repeaty stuff, but you can do it in unusual meters if you unlink the automation. It's all about unlinked automation, my friends. It's all about that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it a few steps further. And I'm going to start using follow actions to embellish this idea, but with different instances of the clip. So this clip I'm going to reverse. The automation will stay the same, but the clip is now in reverse. You'll get these funny orangey numbers here. I'm just ignoring them. And it sometimes jumps the start position to some arbitrary place that I don't understand yet. So I'm going to tell this top clip here, which is going to be my kind of home clip, to play for 1 bar and 2 beats, and then say play another clip. I'm going to give that 1% chance that it's going to do it. And then I'm also going to give it a second follow action to play again with also a 1% chance that it will do it. So basically, if I understand this right, there is a 50-50 chance that it will do either one of those. I mean, we could put 50 or 50, but like if we were to do 10 and 1, there would be, the ratio would be 10 to 1. So you're more likely to get this one than this one. If we do 1 to 1, it's fairly, it's a bit of a coin toss, you know? So when that's decided what it's going to do, it's going to play another clip. So I might maybe say that this one, I want to play for 2 beats, or maybe, sorry, that's 1 beat. So that's these bars, beats, and 16ths, I think. So that's 1 beat. And then I want that to absolutely play the first clip. So it's going to ping back to the top. I want them both to legato as well, which means that they will move in relation to where their playhead is rather than starting from the start. And because we're using unlinked clip automation, we want to keep that. We want to open up the possibilities for more variation. At least I do. You might not want to. But if you didn't, then I thought you probably might have quit this video by now. So let's have a listen to that. Okay, so I'll try another sort of edit that we could do. Maybe for this one, I'll ditch the sample offset modulation. I'll maybe do like a pitch thing. So similarly with the transposition, we can unlink that from, whoops, wrong one. We can unlink that from the loop point. So I can go into the clip editor, so automation editor. I could use transposition. I can unlink this, and then I can say that maybe I want the, what's that? Oh my God, what did I just do? Okay. I don't know if I'm just not very good at this or if this is very buggy. Okay, so I'm going to say that I want to do like a little 16th note pitch down. So set the grid to 16th notes. And I'll do like a kind of 16th note pitch down like this. So it's going to go do 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 like that. And we can kind of carry that on to go back up. Just draw in some little steps here like this, and then maybe go up a little bit at the end. That'll do. And again, if we use legato mode, then when it moves to this clip, the playhead will do it in relation to where it was with the previous clip. So it'll be different kind of each time. Let's have a listen. It's a bit silly, but I like it. I like silly music. I just spilled a tiny little bit of beer on my mouse and then licked it off. That's the type of person I am. Just no sense for personal hygiene or safety. That's why I have not left the house in 4 months. Okay, that pitchy thing was a little bit silly, so I just we can like use these preserves in a way that maybe were not intended to get cool glitchy effects if we put the BPM like down loads. So I'm just going to like max out the BPM. So I've half timed that 3 times. This is what we get. Sounded pretty good. I think maybe I don't want that clip automation for this sample offset on this occasion. I'm going to delete it. Okay. Let's go with, we won't go with transients. Let's go with 1/4 and we'll do like, excuse me, the forward only. We get this kind of, but it's in time, you see. You know what? I will actually put some sample offset automation in there. Let's just draw in some random crap, see what it does. Yeah, we get some cool glitchy effects like that. And if we just like use that sparingly in this follow action amoeba that we're creating, it's got a kind of cocktail, kind of beat cocktail. Let's have a listen. It did it, but maybe I'll give it a little longer to play. I'll take like take another one in, and I'll give it like 16th notes, but I'll put the transient shaper all the way down. That can go for like 1 beat. We'll add that back in. Yeah, that was good. Bit more aggressive. Hello. Hey, this one's good. So I left the... That's fun. Oh, that's good. I don't know why it kept looping like that. It was meant to jump back to the first one. Okay. So there we go. I think that's a good time to wrap it up. That is basically how the Beats warping algorithm works, and also some interesting stuff that you can do with it to get the most out of very little clips. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to go and zip that set up now and put it on my Patreon. And if you would like to support me on Patreon, that would be very nice. But if you don't, I won't hold it against you. It's fine. Thank you. See you next time. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Actually, don't. I've changed my mind. I don't want you to. Thanks. Bye.